Welcome back and welcome back to the Hardmaster YouTube channel. Welcome back to episode number 19 of my controversial album cover series. I can't believe I've been doing this for 19 episodes in a row, people. I must be some kind of crazy person or a dedicated person or whatever you want to call it. But until this point, thank you guys so much for watching every single episode, every single week that I've done. Even though some of the episodes don't have as much information as I wish I could give you guys, there are some album covers that really I don't need to go into much explanation. That card kind of speaks for itself, but there's some album cards that they have a huge history. Like I kind of like when I did with Dawn of the Black cards, that was one big of a daunting task. But regardless, we're still kicking up a notch. We're closer to episode 20, which if you haven't already figured out, episode 20 is gonna be on Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast, and after that, I'm gonna be thinking of other episodes, album covers to choose. So if you have any suggestions on any album covers that you want me to talk about that were controversial, are still controversial, or to some degree kind of figures on controversy, because if you haven't covered, let me know down in the comments and I'll probably make a video out of it in the future. But let's get into today's topic of discussion. So today we're going to talk about a band that I've been wanting to do a video for the longest time and I couldn't decide which album cover I wanted to do. So I flipped a coin and I decided to make it on this album cover. Of course, I'm talking about one of the biggest gospel metal bands of all time, or some people say the biggest gospel metal band of all time next to somebody like him, which funny enough, wearing my Heartogram shirt. Of course, I'm talking about the almighty Type O Negative with their second studio album, sorta, kinda, not really, The Origin of the Feces, released on May 2nd, 1992 by Roadrunner Records. So Type O Negative, like I mentioned before, is one of the biggest goth metal bands of all time. Of course, fronted by the late great Peter Steele. And knowing how Peter Steele was, I mean, Peter Steele was sort of a sex symbol in the 90s. I mean, for fuck's sake, he was in the equivalent of what Playboy, I think it's Playgirl, I think it's the other pronunciation. Of course, with him being a sex appeal and kind of showing kind of erotic lyrics to his music, you kind of figured out that sooner or later Type O Negative was gonna be in the middle of his controversy. So how in the hell did Type O Negative was kicking up a notch from their debut album, which that will be a feature video in the future? How do you think they're gonna turn up some controversy even more? How about releasing an album cover like this? So if you haven't seen this lovely album cover, this album cover depicts Peter Steele's anus spread through his legs as he's taking a shit. That's it, people. That's all you need to hear. Peter Steele's ass, and you can see him spreading his ass cheeks, and you can see his fucking asshole as he's taking a fucking load. So, it's crazy to think that Peter Steele, as a person who pioneered goth metal, who influenced a lot of future goth metal bands, had a funny side to him, and kind of like a fuck you side of him. But it's crazy to think that this album cover actually left the fucking printers of Roadrunner Records. I don't know how in the hell Roadrunner didn't actually have the balls to tell Peter Steele, hey man, you might want to not do this. Which, for the longest time, this album is a re-recording of some of the first songs from their debut album, but done in different matters or different title songs. And it's, like I said, it's sort of a live album, sort of an album, but sort of not really. It's more like a compilation of re-recordings of their first album. Some songs change different titles, the way they sound, some demos and all that. But it's just crazy to think that Peter Steele had the balls to do something like that when he spread his fucking ass cheeks and told the photographer, which whomever the photographer is, hopefully I can find the fucking name here. Let's see if I can find the name here. Shit, I can't find the name here. But if anyone knows what the photographer is for this album cover, let me know down in the comments. I want to give him credit. But whoever that photographer was had the bravest balls in the world to fucking take a picture of Peter Steele's ass spread wide open and see his asshole as he's taking a fucking load of somewhere. But that's good to show you that Peter Steele was kind of a person that would fuck around with you in a good way and a bad way. But The Origin of Feces, at the time it was released, The album cover, I mentioned this so many times, the album cover is a big factor in how we as fans gather into a certain band. And when you have that kind of album cover already in the record store, it automatically catches your attention because it's a fucking man's ass spread, and you see his fucking asshole taking a fucking shit. So this has to be something unique, or maybe disgusting, depending on the person you ask. But of course, at the beginning, this album cover really didn't consider any controversy. Of course, there was some concern that this later would stir up some controversy, and of course, like fucking Nostradamus predicts everything, this album began to a bit of a controversy when it was first released in a bit later years, to the point that in the 2 years after the album was released, they actually changed the album cover to a 1493 painting of Michael Wolgemut. That's a proper pronunciation of saying the name. And of course, the painting is called the Dance of Death. Prediction to Iron Maiden, maybe not, maybe so. But of course, the regular decided to change this album cover to, of course, now the painting. Which I gotta be honest, the painting's been okay, kind of more of a Renaissance kind of thing. But like I mentioned before, with censorship, it's kind of tricky. In some cases, to change an alternative album cover kind of helps, but in this case, I don't think the alternative album cover did much of a help, to the point that years later, I think it came with a sticker right in the middle of the fucking cheeks and asshole, like kind of to censor the album cover later releases, or in some other releases in the vinyl. It came with the alternative album cover, and as you open the lyric sheets, of course, the original album cover is there. So in a way, you don't really lose the original album cover, but it's just not there front and center, spraying the fucking ass cheeks and taking a shitload, man. Like, it's one of those things that's crazy to think that that the band, mostly Peter Steele, thought it would be a fucking thing. Even the name of the fucking album, The Origin of the Feces, is also like sort of a pun, which is something I didn't know of, Charles Darwin's On the Origin of the Species. Of course, the literature that Charles Darwin released about human evolution. So he's already pissing off not just a lot of critics, which the critics actually at the beginning didn't like this album, but it's a re-recording of different songs from the first album. And I thought that the first album, the debut album, was already controversial, which I mentioned before. That's gonna be a future video. But this just takes the fucking cake. Of all the album covers I've done so far in this series, this one was the one that I kind of wanted to save for the longest time, because I don't know how it was gonna get any reception. Because think about it, of all the covers I've done, you've seen people shot, Bibles being burned, executions, but never of a fucking human being spraying his fucking asshole and seeing his cheeks and fucking asshole being front and center. Like at first, when I first discovered Typo Negative and found this album cover, I felt disgusted at first, because I was like, oh man, why would somebody do that? But then again, like Gene Simmons has said so many times, any press is better than no press. So of course, the band also knew that with the release of this album cover, fans were gonna buy it no matter what, being Typo Negative fans. Future generations wanted to actually learn more about this album cover. Why was it done? And of course, the more we talk about it, the more it has interest on many people who are discovering Typo Negative, want to check it out for themselves. The music, the bandmates, the history of the album covers, and all that. So that's why sometimes these videos are very informative when it comes to a new fan trying to kind of know more or less why these album covers were considered controversial. So, at the end of the day, even though they didn't consider that much controversy at first, I'm pretty sure down the road, I tried my best to look for articles or interviews of like people, or mostly religious people, trying to ban this album cover, which I don't think it ever went to that extreme. Not even in Germany, which is surprising that if Germany was able to ban the first 3 Cannibal Corpse albums, and this album cover didn't get fucking banned, it's fucking amazing. Like, they would rather have a man's bare ass cheeks spread with a fucking asshole in the record shelves instead of a fucking zombie, decapitating a human being. I kind of see the argument what Germany were trying to do, but it's typo negative, people. Like, I know we take sometimes seriously the music, but typo negative at times could be silly, could be goofy, romantic most of the time. I mean, for fuck's sake, I've known people who have done the dirty with typo negative playing in the background, which, yeah, you can imagine how that would go. But regardless, if you haven't listened to this album, quote unquote album, more of a live album, but a really live album, it gets confusing at times, people. Trust me, even me who's listened to this album so many times, it gets confusing. Listen to the album, it's pretty good. But again, try just staring at that fucking album cover, Peter Steele's fucking ass cheeks spread with the fucking asshole looking right into you. It's like it's looking right at you. It can see you. It can see your dreams, your feelings, your worst nightmares. It can see everything. But regardless, give it a listen. You will fucking love it. And that does it for this video, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. And like I mentioned before, episode 20 next week. Iron Man's the number of the beast. And, I hope I can bring you guys another CD collection update, because by the time that album, that video gets released, I might already be out of town for Houston. So hopefully I can get some record chops. Maybe I might do a blog about it, of my journey to Houston. I'm not sure. I really don't really like that many vlogs. Like to do that many vlogs, because it's just like, the whole day just recording, which I'm not the kind of person that likes to record the whole day. But if I'm in the mood, I might record it. But if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, go check them out. If you haven't seen any of my previous past videos on this series, go check them out, people. Like, you have no idea how much reception I've received from so many people, that they like the videos, that they're informative. Everything about these videos are. I never thought this series was ever gonna fucking go the lengths it has become to do, because honestly, I thought by the first 3 episodes I was gonna quit, and then for some reason I kind of kept making more videos, be more confident inside of the camera in front of you guys. And at times I don't have that much information about an album cover, but I try my best to look much information as much as I can. And I hope you've really been enjoying all my videos, and who knows what the future might hold. But thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, everyone, and until next time, stay metal.